you knew that it wasn't on.
Okay, cool. It is now. You're right, it wasn't.
Thank you.
Didn't I hit that start button when I...
I thought so. Obviously you didn't.
Obviously I didn't. So anyways, so I'll reach out to Mary and try to get a copy of the letter before I do this, so because she's going to want to see the letter anyways. So that's that. And now we have Mike McKinney.
Hi.
For insurance.
I'm so sorry that I'm tardy.
Okay.
I was embroiled in believe it or not, we're still having claims from the storm. I have
I'm
a
Chip
store.
Harlow, and
Hey, Chip.
this is Laura Bragg.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Michael
Nice
McKinney
to
with
meet
North.
Paul Nato.
Paul, you must be Jennifer.
Jenny.
Jenny. Okay.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of Jennies.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I have a card here for whomever needs it.
Right. Actually, we'll give it to Jenny. That's the one that is.
Thank you.
So I am the I've taken over from Michael Lonigan. I'm the commercial producer. In fact, I came down here once with Mike. I'm kind of a quote-unquote workers' comp expert. Where you had some issues with the claims. Your mod was very high. So Mike and I sort of mentored Mike a little bit. I've been in the business. I was claims adjuster for about 15 years with Liberty Mutual, One Beacon, and I've been at Norton for 11, just a few years before Mike got there. And I actually bounced between Maine and New Hampshire. About 40%, probably 35% of my business is in New Hampshire. So they thought with Michael's departure that I would be the best fit for you folks. Again, I know about the insurance coverage. We have, I don't know how much you want to get into details about open claims. My job is to work with you in a stewardship way to, micromanage claims, make sure coverage is in order, how it dovetails with the Maine Tort Claims Act. There's a lot of legal moving pieces here, and I actually just moved from Portland to Wyndham, but I'm still fairly local, and I'm in Portsmouth, our Portsmouth office, about once a week. So I'm pretty available. So I have, if you want to talk about insurance, we just had, as Mike was leaving, and I took over your account is when I got a CC of that letter from that has to do with the employment claim, the open claim. Again, I don't know how much you do or don't want me to talk about it. I thought that it may be a good time to explain the nature of what that is and how it, because they're scary letters, you know. I mean, if you read them, and you probably
I read it. I think you guys got a copy of it. It was long. It was. And I double checked with our attorneys. I said, is this a standard blurb? And she basically said, yeah.
Yeah, and part of my job is to hopefully answer a whole bunch of questions where you don't have to pay me like you would an attorney. So I try to really work, and again, I'm the first person to tell you, hey, you ought to get legal. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a claims adjuster / commercial insurance salesman. But so again, with these employment claims are really complex. You know, they're not like a automobile accident or a slip and fall. But we have the Trident has a good attorney on it, and I really will take the role of giving you a person that will really be the link between you and the defense counsel, and really to explain the process to you a little more. And again, with no disrespect to Mike, who's also still a friend of mine. He took a job in New Hampshire working for one of the self-insured trusts. I'm going to hopefully see him in a few weeks. But I have the claims background in which I can speak with the attorneys or the claims adjusters about, hey, what is the game plan? What is the disposition? If there's coverage issues, I'm pretty good at looking at what our coverage is. Why is their position X, Y, Z? So depending on how involved you folks want to be as far as, we can do conference call on open claims.
Yeah, I mean, as far as this one, there's a deductible.
There is, yes.
2,500, I want to say.
I believe it's 2,500. Yes, I did a little summary here. Check it.
Before I get to that, can you? I'm not sure we received it, and if we did, we can't find it. We don't have one of the binders. The best one we found was, I think we had like those staple things. But we never got. I'm not sure we got.
Well, you'll have it. You'll have it.
If we did it, we misplaced it. Can you get another one?
Yeah, and I think one of my first emails to you was the good news about the mimic dividend, which should be available. it's always before Thanksgiving, so I think next week I'll have that, so hopefully I can, because I think it's about 15%, so because the bad part, or the good part about back in 2014, you had a pretty high experience modification, which means that your premium was unusually high, which you guys made it through that bad period, but now you're gonna get almost 15% of that premium returned to you, regardless of claims. So hopefully I can, hopefully I will have a bound copy of that.
And then
with the
how
check.
many? How many of these do we have to keep? How many years back do we have to keep?
There is no requirement.
Oh, do we want to refer to this? I mean, I got a whole drawer of from here to here are all these binders.
You don't need them.
And I'm like, do I really need to keep all?
We have them.
Because don't you guys have all?
We do.
I mean,
yes.
Because if I change insurance companies, then I might want to keep from the previous insurance company, but they should still have those on record.
Yeah, we keep them on record. There are no, it's not like tax records where you're statutorily required for 7 years to get. No, this is it's a private contract between you and your insurance company.
But if it's policy information, so let's say all of a sudden we get, I don't know, we get sued on something that happened 5 years ago, so that'll be under a different policy.
Well, it depends on what the nature of the lawsuit is. Like with an employment claim, the nature of the suit is when you're being sued. With general liability auto, the trigger is when did the accident happen.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different. If you get notice today about somebody was hit by an owned vehicle by the town 4 years ago, and they didn't think they had a problem, but now they have scoliosis, that we would actually have to go back 4 years to figure out who was insuring that automobile at the time.
Right.
Whereas, again, a professional claim, or if there was a directors and officers type of claim relative to something you did 4 years ago, the actual company responding would be that company that's on the,
But you guys would have all that. So
we would have all
we don't
that.
need to keep any of that.
Been with Norton / Hub for as long as I've been at Norton, so at least 11 years. I know that. So, and again, I want you to utilize me as ask me coverage questions or even what ifs. We have a lot of resources, particularly with our new marriage last year with Hub International, Hub New England collectively is about the 5th or 6th largest insurance brokerage in the whole world. I mean, it's just incredibly big. So we have experts on and again, I'm a claims guy, so throughout my career, I didn't really have to lean on a lot of folks because I knew where to find the information. But just in the year that we've been with Hub, I've gotten help with some really complex cyber liability issues. I had one particular case with a nonprofit where somebody left a briefcase full of sensitive data while they washed their car, and some woman found it and took it to her house and found the number. And, as it turned out, it qualified as a cyber breach. It was a bunch of moving parts. And it's, we're able to lean on these claims folks within the Hub that specialize in employment claims or cyber claims or employee dishonesty. And again, I'm sort of a generalist in that I've handled workers' comp. I handled a lot of bodily injuries back during the ice storm. 2009, I was adjusting property claims. So I kind of know enough to know what questions to answer. But and we have a kind of a plethora of, the insurance coverage for a municipality is pretty specialized in that you don't have 15 different insurance companies beating down the door to say, hey, let me quote on this, let me save you money. You need to have coverage which really dovetails to what you need, what you want, what you need to protect yourself, and also how it interacts with the Maine Tort Claims Act, which most businesses, nonprofits don't have to worry about that. You got to be careful about the way your policy is worded, about how it's going to respond. You don't want to waive immunities that you may have because of a move to a different policy. So our job is to work with you folks to, and again, what I generally do is about 4 months before our renewal, most of our stuff comes due in July. So in the springtime, we'll get together and really do what I like to call a pre-renewal plan and say, hey, listen, we've been with Argonaut, they handled some claims. I'll give you an idea of what we think's going on with workers' comp rates. You'll have your modification, your new one, 2018, right around, it's usually 6 months, so right about the end of January. And as you folks know, that it's such a big driver of cost. Your mod now is down to, I think it was 0.80, or I mean, you're getting a 20% reduction instead of a instead of a double of your premium. Right. So I mean, the swings that your workers' comp can have on your ability to manage, right. Fiscally, it's really hard. So again, one of my really focuses is workers' comp tends to be the area where I'm really, really, really focused, because you can have swings that are so dramatic. Mm-hmm. And again, I work particularly closely with the adjusters. I know most of the legal folks at Mimic, the fraud investigators. The new president is a friend of mine. Yeah. So again, I hope that as we move forward, hopefully our mod is going to stay fantastic. But if we get in situations where the claims tick up, I will work with you folks to really micromanage that modification. And there's a lot you can do. I mean, a lot of folks think, well, it's workers' comp, it is what it is. But if we have good return to work programs, and if we really it can keep folks who are miss a day or two or 7 days or 8 days, if we can figure out a way to keep those folks on the payroll doing something, it really works well to reduce our modification. Mm-hmm. And again, the most important thing, particularly with the workers' comp, is to get me involved early if someone's going to miss any amount of time, because a frontline adjuster for Mimic or Argonaut or Trident, they care about the claim in front of them. Their ramifications of what they do is not on their mind about the effect it may have on your premium, which me being your broker. That's I'm worried about not just the claim at hand, but how is that going to affect us in July when we need to talk about a budget.
Yep. Okay.
And again, if there's so
the pre-meeting is when?
It's not written in gold. Whatever's going to work for you folks. I like to time it about 3 months earlier, 3 or 4, because that gives us time. If there's let's say if we have an issue with a Mimic, or if we have a new market or somebody that's really has a good program that we want to competitively bid against our current program, I'd like to give the underwriters more time rather than less. It's not something you want to give them 30 days ahead and say, oh, by the way, here's an account. They pay a lot of money. They don't have a lot of claims. I want to give it to them at least 2 or 3 months ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking of more, because I mean, again, this is a July 1 policy, correct? And so our vote is June that we go. I'm thinking of budgeting.
Yeah.
So we know, and again, it doesn't make any sense for us to create a budget before we do this, and then you come in and say it's going to be this, this, and this, and all of a sudden, those aren't the numbers that we just asked the budget committee to approve or whatever.
So ideally, by June 1st, you would want your July renewal numbers in. So
so June, the beginning of June, I don't even know what the date is. It's like the first Tuesday or whatever of June, second Tuesday of. So that's where the vote is. But we're talking like 60 days prior to that is when the ballot has to be done. Mm-hmm. So that's already now 3 months early.
We can give, as far as hard pricing, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but as far as hard pricing with insurance companies, I'll talk about workers' comp in a moment, because there's other things that I can do on that end. But as far as renewal pricing on a July 1st renewal, generally speaking, 30 days is about the earliest you'll have hard pricing.
That's okay.
But indications, we will be able to say, based on our claims history or lack thereof claims history, whether or not we have a other viable option in which we can leverage that against our current carrier. So we'll be able to figure out, really, unless we have just a plethora of claims that's adversely affecting our loss history, that may be a wild card. But if we had a pretty good year, you pay a lot of money, which is not good, but the fact that you're not having a lot of claims, it makes it easy for us to get at least steady pricing.
Right. So I'm thinking February. Does that sound? Sure. I'm thinking February, that not hard, obviously, and if you have to come back or whatever. But I'm just thinking so that we can have numbers that we can then present to the budget committee.
Absolutely, we can do that.
So that they have.
And again, we can't technically the other viable markets, if we're looking at competitive quotes, they're 30, 60, 90, 120 days. That is when the insurance companies would accept your information to even start the process. So that would put us at April 1st. Okay. So on April 1st, so if we meet in February, I can give us a great idea of, I'll know what our modification is going to be. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's going to remain a debit in which we get a credit. Mm-hmm. And I can take the classification rate and tell you what the new rates are going to be for the class. Mm-hmm. So we can take the projected payrolls that we anticipate. If you can give me that information in preparation for this meeting, I can plug in what our mod is going to be in July, what our class rates are going to be. There'll be a few unknowns as far as credit structure, but we can get a pretty good idea of where our workers' comp's going to be. Again, the other lines, a little bit trickier, but generally speaking, we can know where we're going to be. And again, the big swings generally are in the workers' comp anyway. So yeah, we'll plan on February, and again, I'm hugely flexible. I'm bouncing between Maine, New Hampshire. I got South Berwick. I got a great account that I'm at all the time. So and again, I worked in the claims world. I handled a lot of claims that were affected by the Maine Tort Claims Act. So I have a lot of insight on as it specifically relates to claims. And February's fine. And again, hopefully I can get here next week with our checks aren't delayed. So as soon as the checks come in, I'll make sure that's bound and I'll drop those off.
Okay. And then open claims. So do you have a list of all our open claims?
I do not. No, I didn't prepare that because I didn't.
I thought you might have. So
I certainly can have it by next week. Yeah,
that's fine. No, I just didn't know whether you had a. I want to make sure that you don't have something that I'm not aware of.
No, the only I did a quick after I became a broker. I want to make sure I had, in case you want to talk about your actual program or I didn't know how much angst there was as it related to that letter, that reservation rights letter that went out. And again,
I'm okay with it.
It's totally
it's all. It's
and and I'm gonna send I didn't want to do it until I talk to you folks about. I'm actually going to send a note to the adjuster / attorney on this and say, listen, I'm a little bit different than a lot of brokers. I really micromanage claims in which there could be a big payout. And of course, anytime there's a lot of unknowns with something like this. If a tree falls on an automobile, you kind of know what the claim's going to be. But with liability claims, we need to make sure that there's a clear communication between me and the adjuster / lawyer, because if this claim ends up settling for $4,000, that's different than if it's $304,000. So the ramifications for our long-term management is. So I think that makes sense. And again, my cell phone's on there. I'm always on the road. I'm pretty easy. I generally call everybody back within 24 hours. Okay. Do you have any questions for him?
The only question I have is where we have purchased a vehicle. It's not on the insurance yet because we don't have it yet. But do you want to know who's driving it? Does that have anything to do with our insurance, or is it a big blanket policy that covers everybody? Good question. Yes, it's technically once a year when we send our renewal information as far as any changes we want to make or optional stuff. That is when we send a driver's list, even if it's the same as last year, to the insurance company. We don't have to call in every time you hire a new employee or somebody leaves. You don't have to. Anyone who is a permissive user of your vehicles would be covered, unless it's a thief. If it's illegal, of course, they would not be affording coverage. So, like for our EMS fire, so you have a list of all of the people that drive. I'm assuming that Mike would have got a list every year from you folks, yeah?
We're new.
Don't make assumptions.
Yeah,
we're new. Figure that out. We did it last year, and the equipment list was FUBAR. Can I say that?
You absolutely can. Yeah.
So for those that don't even know what that means, but anyways, so I tried to make it. And again, it wasn't even. I tried to come up with a spreadsheet and kind of really do with serial numbers and just. So so, but I don't remember anything about a list about drivers for fire EMS.
It would, yeah, at some point Mike would have got a list. They're covered, so this isn't a
He may have reached out directly, so I don't know. But
I will double check that for you, but regardless of whether or not you provided a list, anyone that has permission to use your vehicles, you guys are protected. The town's protected from that. So don't feel like, hey, we're not sure if we, there's a new volunteer fireman.
Well, and the question heard is because we're getting a 1 ton.
Yeah.
So
have you dealt with Carissa at our office? She's the Jenny.
I have a little bit. Yeah.
She's in fact, if I can get her on the road, I'll bring her down. She's a great worker. Her and I work together on a lot of cases. And what you would do is basically give her a heads up. She adds it immediately and gets you an auto ID card. And then again, I wouldn't worry about reporting everybody that drives. I'll get, as we approach our pre-renewal February meeting, that's one of the things I'll be requesting is an updated driver's list. I'll look at the historic stuff that Mike had done, because he's been on your account quite a while. I think I came down there like 5 or 6 years ago with him on some workers' comp stuff. So it's been quite a while. So, but a lot of these insurance companies, they'll, if you're not having a lot of auto claims and you're paying a lot of money, they get, they're like, well, why are we going to upset the Apple Card? They're paying they're an ATM machine. Really, I mean, as offensive as that is, it works to our advantage sometimes. So yes, it's again, these are the perfect questions that if you have board meetings and coverage. I love coverage. I love it's. Insurance, this is so complex. I mean, they give you coverage, they take it away, they limit it, they exclude it. One word can make a difference. So I don't want my clients wasting time on stuff that I can handle for them. So again, I want you to leverage me. You're paying Norton, Hub, McKinney as part of the management, and use us as not only for coverage stuff, but also the tools that we have with the Hub. I mean, we have a person that all she does all day in our Wilmington office is review contracts. So if you get involved in a situation where you're hiring some sort of subcontractor to do something and there's a contract, before you go to an attorney, send that to me, and we may be able to have someone do it for free, who's a contract specialist, and give you, or at least warm you up before you have to pay $230 an hour to an attorney. And even if you're drafting or thinking about upgrading your employee handbooks, we have such a huge amount of information that really I could work with you to take a look at your employee handbook. We could take some of the free stuff that you can really cannibalize from what we have, put together, a rough updated handbook, and then at the end of it, hire an attorney to rubber stamp it and save, 7 hours of attorney time. And so we have just a huge amount of stuff like that.
I'm assuming since you're not brand new, but since you're brand new to us, you looked at the coverage.
I looked at a summary.
It's a new set of eyes. Nothing against the previous. Did you see any holes and any gaps or any deficiencies? Now versus waiting.
As far as you have the key things with commercial insurance with municipalities is making sure that it marries with the Maine Tort Claims Act. Because the last thing you want to do is have a policy that puts you in jeopardy for being sued for maintenance of a sidewalk or something like that. So this is a specialty program that has language that says, listen, if this town has immunities afforded under the Maine Tort Claims Act, we are not providing coverage for that. Therefore, they're still immune. So that's one of the really key things we look for. And again, that's the case. We have coverage for some of the things that sometimes are missed, like employee dishonesty, embezzlement types of stuff, which sometimes you see with towns. Again, we have employee benefits liability. So even though I'm assuming a third party must administer your benefits to town employees, healthcare.
Yeah, we use the state retirement. We use the state healthcare.
So if for some reason an employee sued you because of your administration of the benefits. If you forgot to enroll somebody, or we have coverage for that, which sometimes gets missed. Again, we have employment practices, which is, again, if you get sued by an employee. So it's a lot of the, it's a very, very broad coverage in, we got obviously great workers' compensation. We have all the bonds in place. There's some question, cyber liability is one of the big things now that we really are trying to get most of our clients to take a look at. And from what I saw, it doesn't look like we have an actual policy, and the rates keep going down. As far as it used to be 5 years ago, there wasn't a lot of cyber policies.
Yeah, well, our rates, probably the reason is they didn't do it here previously was because our rates would have been astronomical since we didn't have a firewall, we didn't have virus protection, we didn't have anything.
We have done all that. Well, then that may be something that, and again, you see it on the news every day. I mean, that's something that we should at least get a quote. And again, the last thing I want is my clients to be insurance poor. You can't insure yourself for everything, but if we had some sort of cyber breach where somebody took all the data and birth dates and Social Security, you don't want to find out the next month that we could have got coverage for $1,200 a year. So that is something that I think. Again, people are just always, they do ransomware, all kinds of stuff that's on the news. So that's one area that again, real quickly jumped out to me. And I don't know was there a specific issue with you said the equipment or the, in the Marine, you said you had an issue with, that was FUBA.
Oh, that was just the list of equipment. So there was equipment there that was on the list. There was stuff on there that was on there that nobody even knows what it was.
That's not good, because you pay a premium on that.
There was stuff on there or there was stuff missing that should have been on there, and so
that's probably
and
that's part of our renewal process. I mean, again, in our ongoing process, obviously, if you buy a John Deere tractor, you want to call Carissa or Mike and say, we need this added immediately. But once a year, we really we should be going through the list. And certainly, if we have a $500 deductible, you don't want to insure something that's $200. So.
I mean, I think most of the vehicles were on there, but it was a lot of it is, the equipment that we have is more on the fire and EMS side. So how do you, their breathing apparatus, X amount of number of rigs, how do you, you don't have to, so that's what they were doing.
Yeah, you can lump things together.
15 units of this, and
you can do that. They get creative with that, and again, because your office stuff in the office, you just put a blanket limit on. We don't itemize things. You give us a rough idea of what does it cost to replace this. Stuff that's mobile in nature has really a different risks of course, theft, destruction. So basically, what I do is I itemize things that are over a certain dollar amount. But if you can say, hey, that we have 30 breathing apparatus, we could do that way too. But and then we have a bucket.
I just want to get a better handle on it. That's
and then we generally have a bucket of miscellaneous coverage for small tools and equipment. So if somebody breaks into a company van and steals a bunch of stuff that they're all under $200, but in totality it's $1,400 worth of stuff. That's something that we can put under a miscellaneous bucket. And I don't remember. Let me look at our summary here. We have. I don't know if I printed that. I'll double check on that. I know we have an actual list of stuff in the field, but I didn't. I don't think I printed the actual whether or not we have a.
Then I guess the only other thought I had was, is there, through Hub or through any of the insurance companies that we use, is there any grants or resources, whether it be for example, Maine Municipal Association has a grant for safety equipment for fire EMS, but you have to be using them for, I think it's their workers' comp.
We
don't use them for workers' comp. We use MEMIC. Does MEMIC have a grant that's similar to that we can apply to, or do any of these other ones, or do they have? Is there free training for safety?
Of course, the
ergonomics or whatever for an office environment. Is there those type of things?
Well, MEMIC has a pretty extensive loss control department in which they have physical therapists, ergonomic experts. Generally, you can lean on them to use their resources. They either do an actual, if you're having a claim, when your Ahmad was much higher and you had a claims frequency problem and severity problem, I can assure you that Mimic was here doing some inspections, doing some training. And again, I can't attest to it because I wasn't your account manager.
Right.
But yes, Mimic, particularly workplace safety, their tools are just amazing.
Wasn't this, do you have, what was that, was this workplace safety also that you had here? The other day, this on-site safety and health stuff, Safety
that's through the
Works?
state, I believe.
Yeah, Safety Works. So because of the amount of premium you pay for workers' comp, you should have a designated loss control contact through Mimic already. So I'll double check on that.
We do have one.
Oh,
Yeah.
another voice heard from.
And typically they get you on a schedule for, hey, we either touch base with you quarterly or come out and sit down once a year.
Is safety, would we wanna do Safety Works, or something through them, or have them coordinate with Safety
You could-
Works,
well,
or how does that?
Yeah, what I would do is coordinate everything through Mimic because it's free. I mean,
Right.
you want to say, hey, listen.
So isn't Safety Works free?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is too. Yeah, but and another good thing about coordinating through Mimic is the Mimic loss control folks have a connection with the underwriters who are setting our credit structure. So the more we're showing Mimic that we're
Being
utilizing-
proactive and doing that,
Yeah,
kind of
we're
that
being
should help our
proactive.
rates, correct?
It will, in fact, and it's good. It's a tool that I use to leverage the underwriters in pricing. You know, and again, Mimic, I love Mimic, but they're not in the business of giving away money unless you ask for it. So, you know, the fact is, if we're, you know, if you're doing that program and working with the Mimic crew or doing a driver safety training program that Mimic offers, but they have just a ton of stuff. And their website, have any of you utilized it? It's a free resource. It's just incredible. You can look at, there's legal opinions, there's all kinds of videos that you can have your own specialized training. I should do a training with you on that. It's really very underutilized, but it's free to every policy owner, which you guys are, and you'd be amazed how, so I would, if, I don't know who would be, whether it would be Jenny or one of you folks that would be the key person that's generally, you know, in the office and in front of the computer, we would be able to train you on the different things that Mimic
It's
has.
either Jenny or Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, then Jordan's our HR person.
I
so.
could, in fact, I could do it with both of them and show them what it has. And again, the cool thing is it's all free. They have this legal clearinghouse that costs like $800 a year for people. A lot of business owners use this because it gives you just legal opinions on different things, and you know, HR matters. You know, you may want to, you know, question, you know, dress code and how does it dovetail with you know, people of different religions. Maybe someone who's Muslim, or you know, you can use this to get free legal advice that people pay $800 a year on, and Mimic gives it to everybody for free. So it just, I've used it myself. Well, I've used it for years because Norton, when we were a standalone, you know, the fourth biggest agency in Maine, we were insured by Mimic.
Yep.
But after Hub bought us out, we're under their plan. So now I've lost my Mimic free legal advice. But yeah, I would be glad to do some training. And most of the people that I do that with are really impressed by it. And again, it's free.
Okay. Good. Anything else for him?
I don't think so, that's what I.
So you'll call in to Carissa with the new vehicle as soon
Yep.
as you need an ID card.
Yep.
And vehicles, obviously you need ID cards, so they generally don't fall through the cracks, but
Yep.
like I said, and I'll double check the equipment list, I'll send it to you so that we can make sure that nothing's, because we can change the policy midterm, we don't have to wait for.
Yeah, well, I mean, it should be good now because I went through it. I'm just saying that when I got it, before we issued the policy, it was a
Yeah.
mess.
And
So it should be pretty good now, but
Good.
I'd still like to work on refinement.
Of course, yeah, and we again, I don't want you to have to schedule every little thing and waste time with that minutia. And again, we'll figure out a way where we can, do as least amount of administration work as you guys will have to do. And I'll send you a quick little one-page form where we can get an indication of what a cyber policy would cost us and what that would cover. Again, they're pretty broad as far as, one of the things I like about these cyber policy now is they handle media, the bad press, a lot of the breaches, they have an expert that comes in and really is your liaison, your public image, all this other stuff. So it's pretty cool, and the prices just keep going down. So I'll give you an update on claims. I'll make sure there's no other open claims besides that. And
do you, on the quote, do they need to know what we have here?
They'll ask a couple of yes/no questions, but
It's really not.
yeah, they're not going to
concerned
want to come in and
no, they're not concerned about what we have as far as hardware installed and.
they'll ask some basics, but again, it's do you have a firewall? Do you have this? I'm not a really techie person, so I don't know what all the different. But it's a one-page, very easy. It gives us an indication, and we at least know where we stand. And hopefully next week we have a big fat check from Mimic to offset any stuff.
Good.
Do you guys have any other questions? And again, feel free if there's anything you forgot about. Email me, call me. Again, I like answering questions. And all right,
Sounds good, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're working with all of you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank
All
you.
right, bye. Take care.
Is this the newest card? Do you have this?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Does he have one? Because he lost
I
cards.
know, he
remember?
collects them.
You got a card, right? Yeah.
I'm telling you, Paul, you're the guy.
All right. Where's aren't we supposed to have the NIA people here?
No,
No, that's next week.
next week.
Oh, I thought that was tonight at 6.
No.
Oh, that's next week at 6.
Yeah, remember, we have a
So
lot
then
of
what
conflicts.
about Karen at 6 today?
No, we're going to quarter of, right?
Yeah.
It's
That's
quarter
next
up. It's next
Oh, next
Thursday at
Oh,
quarter up.
both of those are next week.
Yes.
What NIAID people?
Never mind.
Oh, I'd like,
Just-
I'd like to be
just never
invited
mind.
too.
Huh?
I'd like to
Considering
be
she's the
invited
NIA
too.
committee.
Huh?
Third time. I'd like to be invited also.
So NIA is coming here next Thursday.
The weed itself or?
They might bring the weed. I don't know. Who's coming?
Steve
Who is coming?
Baker
Steve and Tom?
Norm
No, Norm.
Turgeon.
So the guys from TPPA are coming.
Yes. They don't communicate with you?
Very much like this place, lack of communication.
All right. Okay, so I thought we had those for some reason. I
No.
thought that was tonight.
No,
That's
it's next
next.
week. I know, I was mixed up too.
All right. That's fine. Didn't you say? Did you say there's some email out though that for tonight?
No, it's for next Thursday. It was the next Thursday.
I'm holding my. So that's there.
If you look at the, yeah, Jenny has it.
That's fine. At Tuesday, they're collecting a bunch of petitions. I'm sure signatures. They're talking about food sovereignty. So I don't know if are you familiar with what food sovereignty is? Essentially, not really.
No.
It's essentially the small farms like we have here. If they want to, sell eggs. If you got a cow, you want to sell milk.
Mhm.
Otherwise, there's a new law in the state that allows municipalities to have their own food sovereignty, so that you don't have to have it inspected like the USDA dairy.
Mhm.
You can.
Only within your own town. They can only
Yes.
sell it to people within your own town.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain rules and guidelines and everything else, but that's essentially what it's allowing is the small farms to be able to sell locally without all the regulations that are out there. And it allows them to bypass, because a lot of those regulations are expensive for them to, whether you have to be preparing, and I know honey.
Mhm.
If you have a room, you got to almost try to keep it. You almost has to be a clean room, and it can be inspected because it's a food and it's all this, and so there's you can have a lot of regulations, and so that's what this. They had a decent amount of signatures, and the signatures were really just to show there was an interest.
Mhm.
So then I told them, I said, really, there's 2 ways to get on the ballot. You can either create it yourself and then get a petition with signatures for that, but it still has to go through it, or the selectmen can choose to put something on there. And so I said I'd bring it up and see if you guys were interested. I mean, this won't be until June. And I could reach out to MMA. There are 20 some odd other towns in the state that already have it. So it's not brand new. I don't think there's a town in York County yet that does. But I gotta believe they have other, similar languages that we can adopt and work with the people that are doing this to do that. Do you guys have any?
Oh,
Yeah.
I read about it and, yeah.
So, I mean, but again, it's they did it as the local food and community governance ordinance. It's kind of a one that they, but it's just local food. So, I mean, there's a little bit of buyer beware, obviously,
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
when you have that, because it doesn't go through the inspection like it does at a grocery store that when you're buying it, there. But I think it provides them to have their own small little farms and to be able to sell locally. So, you like that idea or not?
Yeah.
So I'll reach out to MMA and see what they got. See if we can maybe craft something. So that's that. Ran across this article today, and as of February 1st, medical marijuana caregivers are going to be hit with a flurry of new state rules.
Oh.
So that's what we have mostly here in town. So people think it's dispensaries, but they're really not. There's only like 8 of them in the entire state, and none of them are here. So all these grow facilities are what they call caregiver facilities, and they basically rent out space to caregivers, and they can have their 7 plants or 6 plants plus their own. And so basically there's a lot more regulations. They can have surprise inspections. And so it looks like they're cranking down on that. So, and basically I was reading, under current rules, the state will inspect caregivers if it receives a complaint, but the caregivers can refuse immediate entry without penalty and reschedule the visit at any time. The new rule explicitly state routine inspections also will occur, which would mark a change in DHS practice. So they're going to just do routine inspections. And it gives require caregivers to submit to unannounced inspections by the Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Which a lot of them are doing it in their own homes, which means that their own homes are going to be open to that kind of inspection as well. So there may be some concern there. So those go into effect February 1st. Is also tracking sales. So they're doing these what they call trip tickets. So yeah, I'm not positive exactly all, but there's a bunch of new stuff heading down. I'm sure there'll be more news about it, but so that's that. That's all I got. What do you got?
Do you have something?
I just have the baskets.
Oh,
That's right.
that's what I have, right?
That was a Macaulay.
And I have, the backpack program too.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something you wanna talk about or not. I sent an email for that one, I think. Did you guys get a copy of that?
Yes,
I
you
did.
sent us an email.
I did.
So what do they want this to be a place where they can drop stuff off? Is a collection for the backpack program? Is that what they're looking for?
I think that it just says passing the information along to see if they'd like to collect or donate for our collection box.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And they give you a list of
Everything.
of what they want,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We do that where I work, so yeah. There's a list of what they.
Mm-hmm.
So we just put a box out front here for
Well,
them
and
to do
you put a paper on the front. You tell exactly what it is that they want, because they don't just take anything. It's there's a list of what they are requesting.
So I don't know if you wanted that on the website too, or.
So it's similar like the school supplies that we did at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And the backpack program goes for all of SAD 60, correct? Don't
Yes,
they?
I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they do it. So
Yeah. You guys have any?
no, I think that's great.
Yeah.
You'd have to make a poster or something to put on it. and just so people knew
And
what they
find a
could,
box somewhere.
what they could donate and what they are expecting, what they need.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be just like everything.
And then we have Thanksgiving baskets.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I didn't know. We did have one
Request.
person request a
Yeah.
basket, but I didn't know what the process was or if we had it.
Well, because I don't think we did anything last year, correct?
Yes. Well, yeah, we did. Sue did have some. I don't think she had. I don't know if she had a lot. I mean, some years it varies. Sometimes you can have 15, and sometimes you can have 2 or 3. Probably because there are other options for them to go and get them. I don't know. I assume the church must give up here. The pantry must give them out too. I assume.
I don't know.
I know they can go to York County Shelter too. They have a big food basket. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, don't you remember last Thanksgiving, you said it was a waste doing the turkey baskets because the people really didn't need the stuff. We shouldn't be buying it for them. Do you remember that? That's why we didn't have turkey baskets?
That's why people didn't come last year.
Right, that's why they didn't come.
They were embarrassed to come because there was a big major statement made on video where he said people don't really need it, they just come and take the food
For free.
when they don't need it. And that's why. So hopefully this year with a little encouragement from the current board, people will feel a little more comfortable coming and asking for the food that they need. Because
There's
they
a
do
lot of
need
people that need it.
That's fine. So what's been the process in the past?
We've usually collected stuff. People are very generous. They bring stuff in. We've had people donate turkeys. Sometimes people give gift cards. And then we, if anyone calls and requests one, we give it to them. Or if somebody knows of somebody.
What goes in a turkey basket? A turkey
Like-
or
Oh yeah, we have
or-
turkey, any Thanksgiving stuff.
Okay.
Stuffing, cranberry sauce.
Yeah, whatever, people donate vegetables, cranberry sauce, stuffing, potatoes. Sometimes we get rolls. Yeah.
Do we
And
have baskets with
No,
it?
we have boxes.
Okay, I'm just
We have.
How do people give you turkeys? They come in with a frozen turkey?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay. You guys have a place to put that?
Yeah, we put them in the freezer.
Oh, okay. I always just did the gift cards. I didn't
they go in the freezer. Who thought of that?
just put them outside. I didn't know they brought the turkey in.
Yeah, they usually bring them the
No.
day where we call people and tell them to come, come pick them up, or we deliver them, whatever. I mean, so, yeah.
So is it like an as needed basis? Someone calls and then we would make the basket, or do we?
We usually will get a list of names. People do call, in my experience, they usually do. And we just give them to anybody who wants them and ask for them. And, I mean, obviously, usually because you do GA, who needs them. And some of them don't ask. But Sue, I know she would know, so she would call and give them a basket, so.
Has the newsletter already gone out for the month?
Doesn't go
it's quarterly. It won't go out till December. It'll be too late.
Oh, okay. Well, could you put on the website maybe something if you're in need of food for
Oh
Thanksgiving?
yeah. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So we can do that and,
So I mean, obviously, first we got two things. We gotta get a list of people that need it.
Right.
and she can do that, and then people will call.
And then we need to also put it on the website as far as for that we're looking for donations for.
Yeah, non-perishables, and I know who usually gives the turkeys. So
Live one?
Some of your frozen ones.
we have people. We have had a gentleman give one that he raised. It's huge.
See?
We have before
Mhm.
a fresh turkey.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Did?
we've had people that do that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, we can put it out there and see what we get, and we don't have a lot of time.
We don't have a lot of time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're running out of
Time.
I mean,
And then we can figure out, we can ask them to come get it. When's Thanksgiving? But they would have to pick it up by Tuesday at 5 or something.
Okay.
And then, like we just put out there if someone needs one. I know someone's already called for you, right? To call you and, you know, if they know of someone who could use them, and like I said, whoever you've helped. I mean, so.
Sure, can I just say, like, if somebody needs one and they can't get here, I would be glad to, on my own time, deliver that for them too.
The fire chief used to deliver them for us too.
Really? I bet you he would even come back and do that delivery too.
Yeah.
If you feel more comfortable.
I'm just looking at count. Can we excuse Jenny to put on the, before you leave, to put on the website for people to let us know? That's the part I want to get out there.
Yeah.
Because we're closed tomorrow,
Yeah.
which means then it's not until Monday that she gets it. So I'd rather, while she has time, that she can get on the website now and do that.
And
So
ask
at least
for
we get,
donations too.
so you can do both of those, and then we might want to put out a reminder next week. Just try to, we'll bombard people with emails.
If you don't get enough donations and you need more, does the town have money to help out with those baskets?
Yes, we'll make it work. We'll make it happen.
People are very generous. Yeah.
So I'm not worried about that.
No.
So, all right.
Okay.
So, did you have any other?
No.
Did you have anything else for us?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah.
We gotta make a motion to, I make a motion to deny the poverty abatement that we spoke about last night, number 17-4.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? We were in a workshop last night, so I couldn't make any motions. So that's done. We do have to go into executive session to discuss. Of course. Of course. Do we want to go through? I mean, we have a little bit of time. Do we want to go through this insurance stuff? On the budget side now, or do we want to?
No, I don't care if you want.
Do we want to? I mean, we can also hold off until we get him in February and do it all, because we're going to do it then anyways.
That might be better. That might be
Instead of
better.
hitting it twice.
Yeah.
I mean, is that? I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
So.
Because
I mean, we could
they're
go
the
through
major
this.
part
Yeah,
of it.
exactly.
You know, so.
And we'll have this brand new one. By then, we'll have this one, I'm sure, with the January 1 of 18, rather than, because this is 17. We know it's going up by 6%, but.
Yeah, oh, here's 18 right here.
Oh, do they already?
Yep,
It was in that letter.
It's in this packet. Yep.
Yep.
So. Yep.
Oh, okay. So it's got everything is in here. All right. That's fine. So we'll do that with him in February. What else? I'm not sure I got much else other than.
Nope.
Chip.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry.
You thought it was me, huh?
At last night's meeting, you got a workshop, and there was discussion in regard to transfer station and the hours of 4 hours.
Yep.
And you weren't able to make any motions then, leaving it available for tonight.
Leave what available tonight.
The decision and
To make
motion.
decisions and discuss.
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss that, but we didn't. I'm not sure we were going to make a motion. So I don't know what.
Let's not take care of that yet.
Well, no, I mean, it's a personnel policy. What we decide to do with
Right.
you know, that's the question. So is what, you know, what do we do? What do we provide for, you know, part-time employees?
At this point, nothing.
No, right, but
Yeah.
do we provide some sort of a bonus, do we provide?
Let's wait, I'll take care of that one and then we'll start afresh after.
What are you gonna take care of?
Right?
Well, they thought they were gonna get it. And I'm gonna tell them they're not gonna get it, that's all. And I'm gonna tell them they can work till 6 or 4 or 1, whatever they want. Usually we close it at 1 and we pay them 4 hours, okay? We're not paying the 4 hours this
What do we
year.
normally open till 5?
6, 5 minutes of 6. Isn't that when we usually open till 5 minutes of 6?
Normally on Wednesday, yes.
Yes.
But we always closed early on Wednesday.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm getting at, just
And how many, but we only need, 2 people on, right?
on Wednesday,
On Wednesday before Thanksgiving?
2, yeah.
So I mean, they can, if they wanna close early, I don't have an issue with that, but I mean, obviously they're not paid.
Right,
If they wanna
right,
work, till
right.
6, that's,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
I would hope that maybe 2 of them could work. 6.
I'll bring it up Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday.
I mean,
If they wanna split it, they can split
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
you know, and we can discuss it, it doesn't have to be tonight, but I mean, I'm not against, I was thinking about 4 hours and the hourly wage, and that's about $50.
Mhm.
I'm not against a Christmas bonus for part-time employees, to somehow do, a $50 gift certificate or a $50 or whatever, or even just, as our way of thanking them, because they don't get benefits, they don't get.
And I think they should get benefits.
Right.
But, I mean, obviously, we can't whip that up overnight. But they deserve something, because part-time employees are very important to any business, town.
I hear you.
I mean, that's, obviously, we can't solve that tonight.
No, so, alright.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Question to do with the transfer station. A couple of people asked me during the storm that we had last week, is there any way that instead of the transfer station being closed totally on Monday and Tuesday, is there any way you can get one of those dumpsters or 2 of those dumpsters just sitting in there so people can go in, or when they're throwing their trash and they're not supposed to be?
We're not closed on Monday and Tuesday.
During the storm you were.
But they didn't have power.
No,
I know you had no power. What I'm asking, is there a way to get a couple of those extra dumpsters dumped off when there's no power? So people can come in, put their trash in the dumpster instead of dumping it
They
out.
won't be able to reach the dumpster.
Have somebody work. If you just dump something, a dumpster that you can't throw it up, I could reach
It's
it.
not dumped there, it's this high.
Well, the town's absolutely filthy because people have just been throwing their trash out on the streets because the dump wasn't opened. And I know that there was trash dumped at the dump when it wasn't open on the other side of the gates. It'd just be nice if there was something we could do so they wouldn't be throwing it everywhere.
Well, I mean, then people need to be responsible, I mean, they shouldn't be throwing it everywhere, I mean.
I know that, Chip, but you know that's not gonna happen.
Well, I can't get power back.
I'm not looking for power. I'm looking for 1 or 2 something. Maybe some smaller dumpsters that they could put stuff in. I know they have those instead of people dumping stuff everywhere. It's just a question people asked me and they had some suggestions.
So the bottom, and I'll let Paul step in, but the bottom line is I don't care, I mean, the huge dumpsters, I mean, they're not totally open on the top. They're only open on one end, and if you get some sort of a small one, how fast is that gonna fill up? And then you're gonna shut the dump, and then you have the same problem.
Well, the dump had to shut down anyway.
Well, my point is, if you're trying to avoid the trash being dumped, tell people to not dump their trash, that's the solution.
Well, I don't see the people when they're throwing it out their window, and I don't see the people when they're throwing their bags out, on Center Road, so.
I can't stop that, I mean.
It's just a suggestion a couple of people gave me.
No, that's fine.
Bring up, that's all it was.
Your thoughts?
no, I don't think that's a good idea. Putting, open containers, they're very high.
Has anybody else seen the paint containers on what street that are piled up
Yes.
beside the road?
Center Road.
It's unbelievable.
Hey, Monday,
Yeah.
no, Tuesday we voted, right?
Mhm.
There weren't any tires on, River Road. Wednesday morning, I went and picked up 5. The station was open, but
Yeah.
They don't wanna pay for them.
And the couches and the TVs and the rocking
It happens. I mean, it's you know, I mean,
you know,
we could allow them to dump it up there free, and they probably still would dump it in the woods because they don't want to be bothered to travel up there.
So I actually have something to add to that too, and it's part of, I got a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. And one of the things is that Tommy, going in and out because he was doing storm damage, every time he would go in and out through that gate was picking up trash that people were throwing over the dump. So I wasn't really gonna question it, but I just wanted to thank Tommy because that stuff in the wind, there was a lot of bags. I went by there a couple different times and saw a couple different sets of bags, and Tommy was picking it up every time he had to go in and out of there. So I just kind of wanted to give him a 2 thumbs up on that, but because I thought he did a good job.
So if we picked up the tires, Paul, we don't have to pay. If I'm picking up tires from somebody else, I'm not gonna have to pay to get rid of
It's
them.
not.
No, absolutely not.
I shouldn't need any tires for a while.
But you know, last May, we didn't get that we didn't pick up that much.
No, we didn't have a
Garbage.
lot of tires. Well, there was a lot of trash that went,
Yeah,
but
but no,
they probably didn't recognize it as much when we did cleanup day because we didn't have Tommy and the guys picking it up. We had volunteers picking it up, so they may not have known who everybody was coming in and out bringing trash. Because I had a couple of times people would say like, "We're all done. Do you want me to pick up the trash on my way and drop it at the transfer station?" Yes, because last year was kind of screwy because of whatever happened with whoever happened, but Tommy never got the notice that he was supposed to help me that day. So I was angry with Tommy, but the truth was he never got the notice about it. But I had a lot of volunteers that did. Chip came, volunteered. A lot of people came and volunteered and took the trash to the dump. So, but they may not have known how much actually came in from cleanup day because it wasn't Tommy and the guys bringing it in. You know what I'm saying? It was just, Mary might have gone up and picked up coming from her house, and Dana might have come picked up from his house. A lot of people were just bringing the trash themselves because Tommy wasn't available through no fault of his own. So, anyway, I got a couple things. Do you have a minute? First thing, you forgot me, threw me under the bus. So I got a message from Sandy Adams. And she's wanting to make like some scarves and stuff like that and put them out in the town hall lobby. Just if you need one, take one. No receipts, no accounting for them, whatever. She just wants to have it something nice for people when the weather's
Scarves,
getting
hats, and
cold.
mittens. Isn't that what you're talking
I think it's scarves, hats, and mittens, but I'm not sure if it's just scarves and hats. Okay. I know that they're creating them, they're making them, and she just wanted to be able to put a basket out there. If you need one, take one. So I wanted to run that by you guys too.
You guys have any problems with it? Paul? Do you need a hat, Paul?
huh?
Do you need a hat?
No, I don't mind.
Good to go.
Okay, that's great, I'll tell her. So, the other thing is that I wanted to make sure, I know you know, but I wanted to make sure Laura and Paul knew that Saturday night at the Grange Hall is their harvest supper. And they are giving an award to Wendy Rudnicki for being the Grange main firefighter of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So also, I wanted to let you guys know that veterans are now eating free. We have people who have donated to pay for the veterans' meals, which were going to be discounted, and the Grange was kind enough to let us kind of all get together and prepay for the veterans. So veterans are now eating free, so you can come and eat for nothing. And then also the Toys for Lebanon Kids program is starting to kick off, and they're going to, I believe that the applications for it are already out at the schools. They're going to be bringing applications around, so if anybody needs toys for their kids, they can call the fire department, or they can, I believe they have some up front here too at the town hall or through the schools. Get an application and just drop it off at the fire department, or there's a address on there to mail it back. And they need donations of new unwrapped toys. And that's anywhere from newborn to 16 years of age. And last year there was a lot of stuff for the littles, and there wasn't a whole lot of stuff for the older kids. So if I can encourage people to think about 14 and 15 and 16-year-olds who still need something for Christmas, that's very important. And also,
Do you have a blurb or something that we can put out on the website or send out an email that
I'll send it to Jen.
Jenny can get? Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it to Jenny. Thanks for doing that. Also, just because we wind up needing so much for the older kids, we're Cindy, who is in charge of Toys for Lebanon Kids for the fire department, along with a newcomer to town and volunteer Suzette Wright, and myself are going to have a spaghetti supper at the Grange Hall to benefit Toys for Lebanon Kids, and that's going to be on Saturday, December 2nd from 6 to 8 p.m. I'd like to thank the Grange Hall for allowing us to have our supper there, and also thank Assistant Chief Dan Matthews, who the small amount they asked us for to have the supper there, he went ahead and paid. So really huge for Lebanon Kids that those people are stepping up to the plate like that, and I appreciate it. So I'll make sure just those couple things get to Jenny for Thursday soon.
If I didn't see you go
I
back.
just came back.
But yeah, I hope you guys will all come out. Please. Selectmen hardly ever show up for like all of you together for all of this. But this is for the kids, and I would really, really appreciate it if you all showed up on December the 2nd.
Why don't you make it 4 to 6?
4 to 6.
Start at 4 instead of 6.
No, it's 6 to 8. Because nobody eats that early, Paul. 4
Nobody's
o'clock.
home yet.
Everybody starts
On
at
a
4.
Saturday, everybody is out doing stuff. and
Everybody
especially-
starts at 4 on Saturday.
That's eating?
Yes.
Who does?
I think older people do.
Older people do eat earlier.
They do.
Or eat
Usually-
early, huh? Well, let me talk to Cindy, but I think that
Do five. Split the difference. Do 5 to 7.
Hey, I go to all of them,
We could actually
including
do
East
5.
Rochester.
Yeah.
We could actually
No,
do
it's
5
5
o'clock,
because
I'm
they're
back
letting us
home.
in
Yeah.
at 4, but we wanted to make sure we had plenty of time to get everything cooked and ready. But if we pre-cooked the sauces and then just cooked the spaghetti there, we could probably start at 5 if you
Do
think
5 to
it's a
7.
better idea.
I think you better get a better turnout for seniors.
Okay,
Tell me this.
we can. Well, it's
I'm
just
cooking.
please. But anyway, I'll talk to
So I'm not
Cindy
sure how
about
you're
5.
I'm not sure how you're gonna get between
It's
7
not
and
my event, Paul. It's, Cindy's in charge of it, and I have enough on my plate right now that I want to let her keep in charge of her stuff, and I'm
You're the
just.
supper guy, right? You go to all the
Yeah.
suppers.
I go to all of them.
I know
I
you
didn't know
do.
about a question to do with that. Deb to do with that.
Yeah.
In the
East
future,
Rochester.
let's just say next year we wanna do it, Deb wants, the people wanna do this. Can we use the kitchen in the hall at the fire station?
No, not right, no.
No, at the Station 1?
Yeah, there's a nice kitchen there.
Yeah, but the back room's about to fall in.
Yeah, where are you gonna sit?
Well, maybe you guys will fix it by then.
You might.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, if it does get fixed by then,
Then that might be an option.
that would be fantastic.
You might actually be able to hold the dinner, hold it there, and move one of some of the vehicles out and set tables right up there. Then
So,
who knows?
That would be nice.
my final thing is actually back to the subject of cleanup day that you guys were talking about. So I've been like talking to, I've got so many people already, like the invasive plant species people, and they're gonna come and they're gonna talk about stuff to people, and she's gonna split a table with DEP and TPPA. I've contacted, haven't heard back from them yet, and several other people. But I just wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to use electricity for the day, because I've got, like I did last year, I have music coming, for the event afterwards. And I know we used the electricity in the town hall last year, but I don't want to assume. So I wanted to make sure that I would have that available. And the bathrooms. Cause prior to this, one of the other selectmen would come. I start at 8:30 in the morning, and the fire department's already committed to come and do like the Sharps talk with all the kids and stuff. So
what are the hours of the event then that you need the building open then from?
So what the selectmen have done in the past, and this is 3 or 4 years now I've been doing it, but what they've done in the past is they come in the morning, they open up at 8:30 so that people can get in and out and use the bathroom. I pass out bags, get everybody on their routes, and send them out for the day, and then I kind of do my thing out and about. Selectmen go home after everybody leaves, but then I have everybody I have like Tom and his crew come here at noon for lunch, and everybody that's setting up tables or doing whatever they're doing comes here at noon to set up, and we start the barbecue and stuff. And then people come back at 1 o'clock, and we have from 1 to 3, we have the demonstrations and the barbecue and all that stuff. So I would need somebody here at 8:30 in the morning just for people to use the bathroom before
Because they can't use it before they get here? But that's okay.
You know how it is with the little kids, especially like the Cub Scouts and all that stuff. They have to go just because they have to explore the bathroom trip. That's the way little kids are. And then from noon till 3,
Noon to 3 or whatever,
I
yeah.
need it.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, I'm sure Paul and I can handle it.
What? No, I'm busy.
You don't even know the date.
Paul is busy. Paul cleans up all of
Clean up Rochester Road and Upper Valley Road.
He does.
You want me to do everything?
I have to ask this question after sitting here and looking at its thermostat. This heating system, which is I think a Badaris and it's radiant floor heat. I'm just guessing the name brand for the radiant floor heat. This is set up so after a certain time it goes lower than 74, am I correct?
That 74 is the current temperature. That's not what it's set at.
Correct. But does that change as the night goes on?
Yeah.
It is, so it is set to go down quite
Well,
a
so
bit.
one, it isn't, because you can't do that with radiant floor heat.
Well, you can do that with radiant floor heat.
It doesn't work.
I'll get you the information.
This radiant
Go ahead,
floor
get it.
doesn't work.
Get it? No, you don't
That's what
understand.
you don't understand. I live with radiant floor heat.
In a small area, do you know how long it would take for these floors to heat up to change the temperature in this building?
That is the point of radiant floor heat also, is to save money on the heat. It's just, to me,
it's a slow, what I'm saying is it's a slow
it's not that
system.
slow, Chip. My house isn't freezing.
Your house isn't this size either.
Okay, I have the
Her house
basement.
is bigger.
It's
Huh?
bigger.
Her house is bigger.
Than this building.
It's just, when I
It's
look at
big.
the
It's
74
all open
degrees,
too.
74 is what it is in here. It's not what it's set at.
I know it's 74 degrees in
So the
here.
heat's
I'm
not
just-
even on.
It's on.
Heat's not on.
Take your shoes off.
The heat is not on.
Okay. I'm just curious because it's just set at, it's just very warm in here all the time. And it's not like
You have
heat is.
people in the eye,
is
you have
chilly.
light, you have
I
people,
don't
you have
either.
lights.
I don't think it's warm in
You
here.
want a motion?
No, I have something else to
Well, are
say.
you hungry? Did you already have your supper at 4 or?
Beg your pardon?
I was wondering if you were hungry because you look at the clock every 2 seconds. I hope you ate at 4 though.
Was that a
Don't
good,
pick on him.
was that a question?
No, if he wants to.
What did I eat today? Last
Alright,
night.
what else you got?
Laura says she
I just
doesn't
want to
know.
mention this.
No, go ahead.
I just want to mention, it's on the website. Are you one of Lebanon's senior citizens or retirees? We would like to invite you to lunch at the Hanson School. Please be our guest for lunch with our second graders on Wednesday, November 15th at 12 noon. Please RSVP by Monday, November 13th at 207-457-1299, which is the school. We hope to see you there. And this is trying to get older folks, retirees involved with the school, so this is, we're starting with this and see how this goes.
Free lunch, Paul.
Mary's
gonna go?
going.
I'm,
Mary said I can't go.
I'm going. You're a hell of a lot older than me.
Was there any other questions?
Nope.
No.
Okay,
We gotta go in executive session.
yeah, but before we do that, I just wanted to tell everybody,
Come back, but we go eat quick at it.
excuse me?
No, I'm sorry, I was talking to Deb.
That's my point.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'd like everybody to take a moment of silence on Saturday think to themselves, thank a veteran. Veterans Day is for those that have given the ultimate sacrifice, as well as the ones that are currently serving, as well as the ones that have served. I know a lot of people will thank a veteran, but just take a moment to yourself and thank the families are important too, because families sacrifice an awful lot more, just as much as the actual veteran that is serving. And I know that firsthand. So that's what I just wanted to make sure that, it's Veterans Day is on Saturday, but we're closed tomorrow. But yeah, so it's obviously kind of important to me. So
Is there anything outside on Veterans Day, like any sort
no,
of
we
ceremony?
don't. This town doesn't in the past hasn't really done anything on. We do it on Memorial Day, but we don't do anything on Veterans Day.
Oh,
So, did you have a point? Did you want to do something?
That would be
I
nice.
just thought every town did
No,
something
No,
for
a lot
the
of
veterans.
towns. A lot of towns don't.
Well, get added to the list, that's sad.
Well, Tuesday night, there is a patriotic concert put on by Noble High School.
Is it Tuesday night?
Yes, it is. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's all patriotic music. They play the themes from all the major military, divisions. It's a wonderful concert. So, and it's free. And we have a lot of good kids down there that it's a great.
I attended that last year. It was fantastic. It's really some of that music is so moving, and then they have all the veterans from the different services stand up and be recognized. I bawl my eyes out, but yeah.
So, good. All right. I make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to
Whatever.
1 MRSA 4056A.
Second.
Right. All those in favor?
Thank you, Jenny.
All right.
Should we stick around for a decision?
No,
or-
there won't be one.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have veterans in Lebanon.
Oh, okay.
Mary, do you have a point?
I'm asking her a serious question, because I don't know, I have
You're
never
looking
met-
at one.
Well, you know what, I don't know that, because I've never seen you, I don't know that, Chip.
You've never
How-
seen me at what?
I went to a ceremony.
Do you go to the
out here.
Memorial Day ceremony?
Yes, and you were here.
Okay.
But you were in uniform, so I don't know if you were a vet or not,
Okay.
okay? But when I see a man that's a veteran and he's got a hat on or something, I shake his hand and I say thank you, okay? So I don't appreciate that tone of voice either, Chip.
It is.
Do you want me to